people. Welcome to Footy
Hey.
Fanatics, the YouTube channel that brings you all the footy debate, the Premier League, the European leagues. Today, we've got a debut on the show. We've got Alex in the house and we've got Dharms, who's been on before. Dharms is our Chelsea resident fan. I'm representing Tottenham. But Alex, we have to welcome you on as a debut, mate. Now, we were just talking in the back end about your history and how you've lived in the UK, you've lived in certain parts of Europe. But let's tell the listeners right now. So give us a little background, man, because I believe you're not actually a fan of any Premier League club at the moment. It's just Inter Milan from what I'm hearing.
Well, yeah, Inter Milan is my club, of course. Yeah, I'm Alex. I'm Italian, but I grew up my whole life in Germany, well, till my 20th birthday, and then the last 22 years in England. So that's the reason. I know Jay, your best friend, a good friend of yours, and that's the reason.
I think you got a fan in the comments there. Luigi is put something in there in Italian.
Oh,
Maybe you can read it and then translate it for us.
That's my brother.
He's quick.
You're gonna have international audience tonight.
Oh, wicked, man! Big up Luigi. Big up Luigi. Who does he support?
Inter Milan. The whole family is Inter Milan.
Okay. Be nice to Inter Milan tonight, guys. Don't say anything not nice about.
But I think that there's something to talk about. I mean, we are in the semi. There's a crazy semi derby going on with Milan. So
big up Italian football.
That.
Yeah,
so
big up. Listen,
thank you for having me on the show.
No, that's fine. Thanks for the intro. And moving down into the bottom half of the screen, we've got the boss from West London. We've got the Chelsea fan that raises a smile for the channel, but otherwise he's had, let's be honest, a difficult season, this one for Chelsea. But big up, Dharms, and thanks for coming on, mate. And how are you, mate? Everything good?
Yeah, big up, Josh. Good to be back on the channel again. Big up yourself, Alex, as well, and everyone in the chat. Like and sub to the channel and stuff like that, man. Let's push the channel up as well, man. But yeah, it's good to be back, man. And I'm smiling just purely out of enjoying life and not watching any more dreadful football Chelsea, to be honest, and under Frank Lampard. So yeah, man. It's just been
just a quiz question before we start. What's the one thing a Tottenham, a Chelsea, and an Inter Milan fan have in common?
Mourinho.
Conte.
Oh, Conte as well, though.
Yeah,
Conte as well. Yeah,
Mourinho.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, what's the one thing I don't have that you two both have under those managers?
Very
easy.
A trophy.
Oh no, that was the Tottenham. Sorry, the Tottenham Inter.
Yeah. I didn't get a trophy,
man.
Trophies. Yeah. That's the life of a Tottenham fan, man. But listen.
We still have to wait because we're not sure. We may be running out with nothing either.
You never know, man.
Inter Milan is on the final in the Coppa Italia and the semi-final Champions League. So
yeah. Listen, big up Inter Milan, man. They had some ownership. We'll talk about it. The changes and what's been happening. Because one thing about this show that what we want to do is refresh our memories with Alex on board and what's happening in Europe. So we're talking not just the Italian league, talking Bundesliga, talking Serie A, obviously, talking La Liga, and any other major news from the European side. Let's get a refresh our knowledge on what's happening, because I'll be honest, as a Spurs fan, I focus on the Premier League. The only time I focus on the European leagues is when the Champions League is on. Otherwise I don't focus too much on what's happening. But today, Alex, you can refresh our memories in terms of European football, and we'll focus on that in the second half of the show. But the first half of the show, we're going to focus on the Premier League. Now tonight we have some very, very big fixtures. We have Arsenal, we have Chelsea, we have Man City, and we have Liverpool. And we'll get Alex back on in a minute. We've got 3 huge games tonight. As a Chelsea fan, obviously, you're probably looking at the Emirates thinking that's a loss. It's difficult to think otherwise. And we'll get onto that. But what I want to start with, Dharms, at the top of the show is Man City. And just give me your analysis on Man City. Now, you were one of the very few guys that said about 6 weeks ago that Arsenal will bottle this title race. Or they'll fall apart at some point. So tell me why you said that, mate, because everything you've said has pretty much come true.
Just realized I'm on mute. Yeah, honestly, man, it's just from what I've been seeing in the past, the Man City over the past few years, and what I've just knowledge of Arsenal. They're known to be bottle jobs, to be honest. Let's be real about it. They bottled top 4 last season. Nobody's really speaking about it that much. Bukayo Saka goes missing for the last 10 games for the past few seasons, and he's doing it again this season, just not showing up. Arsenal, good team season, have done well, but a lot of people underestimate Manchester City because even when they were not playing well, they were still in a title race up until like February. So, and now look, they're kicking into gear now properly. So, and getting Haaland scoring even more goals than he used to. Style of plays even better now. Pep Guardiola is sort of like not messing around now. In terms of the starting lineups, he's playing proper players in their proper positions. He's tweaked the system a little bit as well, playing with a back three and stuff as well. And yeah, they've Man City's experience is just clearly showing now. And I always knew that Arsenal would fumble at some stage of the season in games we didn't expect, i.e., West Ham and Southampton, where they both dropped points, and even Anfield, it was expected they dropped points. But the mad thing is, against West Ham and against Arsenal, they were 2-0 up in both those games, and they essentially bottled the league. It was in their hands. No other team's gone from this position to sort of drop down to second. They've always gone on to win the league, apart from I think Liverpool, who have fumbled early in the past. But when you're late into April and you bottle the league, I'm sorry, like I don't think that's a successful season for Arsenal, in my opinion.
Yep, fair enough, Dubs. Alex, tell us how Man City 8 points behind. Arsenal just had to go and get a draw. And we're going to talk about Manchester City in more detail, but let's just start with the title race. In your opinion, what has happened to Arsenal? I mean, Man City have gone this way and Arsenal have gone this way. How did you see that go, man?
I
Like,
see it.
tell us
I
how
see
that went down.
it's the youngest team. It's experience. You know, I think they overachieved this season. You know, obviously as an Arsenal supporter, it hurts. You know, because it hurts. You know, you were there, you were seeing the trophy. But in my opinion, it's the youngest team. Everybody knows it's young players. There's only Xhaka or a couple of other elements who are experienced international players, and they overachieved this season. They've done that well. You know, nobody would have said something if they would have been ranging throughout the season in the 7th, 8th, 6th place and then ended up on the 2nd. Everybody would have been applauding them. You know, if they would have had a reverse kind of way up on the table. It hurts now, obviously, because they were up there so many points.
So a famous pundit, and I believe it was, who was it, Dams, that said you can't win the Premier League with youngsters. Do you remember who it was? Was it Roy Keane? I
I
can't
can't
remember who it
remember.
was.
It was.
I can't
I think
remember
it
who
was
it
one of them on
was.
Sky Sports. I don't know.
But the thing is, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I've got to, I understand the inexperience, but these Arsenal players, right, knew what was coming. They know what Man City's about. They Man City do it every year. The only team that's done it is Liverpool, and they won by quite a big margin that year. Arsenal knew what was coming. It's not like Man City came out the blue, and they're a team that came from behind them, out the blue. Man City do this every season. They get 95, 100 points. So how much is Arteta to blame? Because he's the manager. He's the manager. At the end of the day, the manager instills the culture, the philosophy, the confidence, the motivation. I mean, everyone's saying, yeah, they're young, they're inexperienced. But Dams, do you look at Arteta and think maybe he's not the manager people made him out to be?
Yeah, see, it's a tough one because in their first sort of 2 or 3 seasons, what Arteta in his first season took Arsenal to 8th place, obviously, when he replaced Emery. Then the second season, I believe, was it 8th again they finished? And then
Something like
obviously last season, they finished 5th, I believe, as well.
that.
And
Fifth.
they're on course to finish second this season. So when you look at it on paper, there is some sort of progress going on at Arsenal, but at the same time, when you have things in your hands, like when you have top 4 in your hands, when you have the league in your hands, with such short time space remaining, you have to go and get the job done. And I think essentially that some blame leans towards Arteta, and some blame I think probably leads towards the recruitment team at Arsenal for not getting done the essential transfers that they had to, i.e., maybe signing Moises Caicedo from Brighton in January, ending up with Jorginho, signing a centre back when they didn't really need to sign a centre back, and maybe getting another forward into transfer positions, because we've seen with Man City, in every position they're covered basically in every single position. Even up front, they've got Haaland, Alvarez, they have Grealish, Foden. On the right, they have Mahrez as well. So it's just one of them where.
But one thing I'll say, Dams, is Liverpool beat Man City to the title with a weak bench. The likes of Origi and the likes of at the time, I'd have to pull the bench up. But I remember looking at it the other day. It wasn't a great bench,
Yeah.
and Liverpool beat Man City to the title. So it is possible. It's not that you have to have two world-class players in each position to beat Man City to the title. You can do it. You can do it. But one thing I will say in Arsenal's favour is Saliba going out was a big loss, which
Yeah,
is their
it's played a
best
part.
defender.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they didn't have anyone to come in. They didn't have anyone to come in. We've got a comment here from Antonio Tancredi saying JJ Okocha. I mean, Alex, I think you brought the whole family with you today, man.
JJ Okocha. Who remembers JJ Okocha? Ah, he
JJ,
Baller,
played.
man.
what a player.
He played in
Absolute
the
Yeah.
baller.
UK as well, in Leeds, at Leeds, right?
Bolton, wasn't it? I think.
Bolton. I think it was
Bolton
Bolton. Yeah.
with the
Bolton.
white
Yeah.
shorts. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Big up JJ, man. What a skillful player, man. He was one of those players, never tracks back, never does any defending, but you give him the ball and everyone's on the edge of their seats waiting for something to happen. So big up
There's
JJ Okocha, man. Asprey at Newcastle, do you guys remember him as well? He was
Yeah, of course. We
yeah.
remember, we Italians remember in Parma. But about JJ, you can YouTube it. There's a special goal when he was at Frankfurt against Bayern, against Karlsruhe. There was a young Kahn in goal, and yeah, he
Oliver
did some
Kahn.
dummies left and right, and
Yeah.
Really?
great goal. Yeah.
Yeah, what a player, man. The African players, man. It's good to see them in the Premier League, man. It's they bring some power and pace, but you always get one or two that bring that bit of trick and flair as well. So great to see a lot of these players, man. Let's talk about Man City, guys. Manchester City Football Club. Now, Alex, I know you're quite knowledgeable and you're quite passionate about the FFP. I don't know what to say about FFP. I'll let you take over from this point, but I
Well,
feel it doesn't really work. But I'll let you take over from there, man. I don't feel it really works at the moment.
Well, because I felt it on my own club and on my cousin club, AC Milan. I mean, we are still stringent on FFP rules. We still have we are still hand-tied. We had lots of limitations the last years on transfers. I think AC Milan was even or another Italian team couldn't participate 1 year for the European Cups. So, and we're talking about because they overspent 10, 20, 30 million. So that's the volume what we're talking about here. Yeah, nothing outrageous. And then we've got this PSG, Man City stuff going on, and Newcastle stuff going on in the UK. And it's sorry to say, but it goes beyond football because this is political. Because I've been in the UK the last 25 years, and I could observe how the Russian money and the oil money got over London and in the UK in politics, in the media, buying media outlets, this, that, football clubs is just another thing. And now we're at the pinnacle, you know. So I'm curious what's going to happen because there's two ways. Either it's going to be the one which everybody thinks, it's going to be delayed with the best lawyers, money, and at the end you have to pay 50 million and 3 points deduction, 6 points, something like that. Or the government intervenes, and then it's the end of the Premier League as we know it. Bye 5 billion TV rights money and stuff like that. Because the system, what the UK is absolutely strange to a European, like, especially me growing up in Germany, where we've got the 41-51% rule. No foreign investor or whatever can come and buy more than 51% of the club because football is a social element for the Germans. That's the reason Red Bull had to go and had to circumvent the rules in Germany to call themselves Lohn Ball Sport Leipzig. It's not called Red Bull Leipzig. They had to change the name, and that's what funnily is translated. So what all I'm saying is, yes, we take it very seriously because in Germany we live with this 51-49% rule. And don't talk to me about how this system works. Well, of course, if I'm a player, when I have 10 million a year as well, I will play probably in the Premier League. But from a social ethic, long-term sustainability, and what football represents, I'm more for the German system, and it's a great football nation. They've been in big tournaments.
So Alex, you've lived in Germany. How many years were you in Germany?
Yeah,
Alex, you there? Yeah, you've lived in Germany, right? You know the culture.
yeah. I'm still loving. Yeah, I'm still living here. I'm
You're
living
still
in
living in
Stuttgart right now.
Germany.
Yeah.
So what's the difference from an ownership standpoint? You said 49-51. So 51% of the club is the maximum that can be owned by one person, for argument's sake.
I think so. Yeah, something like that. So
Okay. And
that
the other 49, who's that owned by then? That's owned by
by
fan groups?
the fan groups. Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of how that would work in England.
So
Because if
so that's the
Chelsea,
reason. So that's the reason. Apart from Bayern Munich, but even if you observe their transfers, in the German mind, doing an 80 million, 60 million transfer is something out of
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell it to the Premier League. Yeah, please come here, take
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham and whatever. Uh, uh, but no, it's out of their minds. So like a was a crazy transfer sum for them.
Do you see the German and Dharms, feel free to chip in with any questions. Do you feel the Premier League is getting away with murder at the moment in terms of how they're spending this ridiculous money every window? I read a
It's
stat that in the summer the Premier League spent 25% of all the money of European transfers, something crazy like that. Like
it's
one league
it's
spent, a lot
it's
of
money
money.
laundering. Sorry, it's international money laundering.
So who's responsible? Because it starts with the UEFA, with FIFA,
It's
and then it
it's
trickles down.
it's it's the governments and the FIFA. Obviously, the FIFA is corrupt in itself, right? With so many presidents before as well, with Blatter, with Infantino, nothing changed. But then are the rules, the proper the court, the public courts.
Hmm. What are the rules? Because the rules are FFP, financial fair play, and the rules are universal to all the
I
leagues.
think you can't. There's a certain percentage you can't spend over your revenue earnings, like
Correct.
120,
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
120, 130%.
Yeah.
And
So
let's take a one deal from PSG. There was one deal, a sponsored deal for 1 year, and they sacked in 120 million. Guys, Inter Milan is praying to get a sponsorship for around 18, 20 million for that size. It's absolutely outside, and that for a duration of 4 or 5 years or something, not for 1 year. And they got it from Emirates Fly, whatever airline they got it. But those are the kind of, they may seem all right on paper, but i- i- it's out of reality, you know.
But what I would say, and Dams, as a Chelsea fan, you know all about finances coming in from an investment, big finances coming in from investment. I mean, Chelsea is a great example of a club which received major investment, major loans, whatever you want to call it. Let's just call it funding for now, because it might not be an investment. Because at the end of the day, Roman left, and he basically cut his losses. But let's just talk about the money that came to Chelsea Football Club. That was in 2012. When was it?
What the takeover from Roman?
Abramovich. Yeah.
It was 04, wasn't it? I believe
Oh,
04.
04. Sorry.
04,
I'm
yeah,
thinking of
yeah,
Man City. I'm thinking of Man
yeah,
City. Oh,
yeah. Man City
Abram-
was yeah.
Abramovich was the first man in the Premier League to bring that kind of international finance and funding. At that time, I don't believe there was major FFP in play. So it was a very open market. And as a Chelsea fan, this money's come in. You've seen it, transform your club from, I don't know where Chelsea were,
A top four
mid-table-ish,
team.
top four,
Yeah,
yeah, sort of in that sort of bracket of European, like top six, top eight. And then they went into championships. They became a champion. And then you won the Premier League and etc. So what I'm trying to get at is, do you hate the player or do you hate the game? Because the player will play the game and the game has to sort itself out. So football itself is a game, it's a sport, right? But there are people in charge at the top, UEFA, FIFA, that make the rules, right? But Chelsea didn't do anything illegal, right? Money.
yeah.
Well, where's the money coming from? We're talking about due diligence.
Yeah, it's coming from obviously whatever Roman's sort of done in the past in terms of how he's sort of earned that money, any consortiums he's been a part of. Obviously, there's doubts over how the money's been sort of transformed and raised. Even with the Newcastle owners, there's doubts over how they sort of earned their money as well. But with regards to like hating the game or hating the player, I think it's a bit of both at the same time, because I think the initial rules of what FFP is and the initial rules of what should and shouldn't be allowed, I think it's the problem in the first place. Because if an owner wants to build a dynasty at a football club and wants to build success, then who is anyone to say that they can't do it with that amount of money pumped into the club? Like, say if a perfect example is obviously Sheikh Mansour and Roman Abramovich, if they want to invest all that money into players, facilities to become the best in Europe, even Real Madrid, then who's to say that they can't do it with the rules that are set in place? And if there's a cap on the rules, then obviously fair enough. Then I don't think they'd obviously breach that in any way. But if they're being allowed to, then yeah.
Then you're shouting for the Super League.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's why
it's
obviously
not sustainable. It's not sustainable for Salernitana or for Bochum or Wolfsburg or for Toulouse.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
It's not a business anymore.
They can't compete then, because then you will have those Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, Milan, Roma.
But Alex, isn't
London.
football just become an investment vehicle?
Well,
Isn't
that's the
it
thing.
just an
That's the
investment vehicle
thing
now?
where the government has to take a position, and that's what I'm saying. The German have taken a position. So if we talk about the Italian, for example, there are only 2-3 leagues who own a stadium. So they're completely not sustainable, because there's a big revenue stream missing out. That's the reason Italy has been lacking the last 30, 40 years. Because we don't have that perfect, a la Deloitte, as Deloitte said, the perfect football revenue model is Bayern Munich. 1/3 merchandise, 1/3 TV rights, and 1/3 stadium on the match day.
Mm-hmm.
And Italy doesn't have that, because the cities own the stadiums. Inter and AC Milan have been talking over 20, 30 years for a new stadium since I've been a little boy, and they still didn't get it. So for the foreign investors, going back to your conversation, why Italy is not attractive. They're not going to Italy. They're just some American nostalgic Italians who are buying Fiorentina left, right, and center. But they're not nothing compared to the Premier League investors.
It's the players as well, I think. Just regard to like the players and the quality of managers as well. Like in the past, we saw about the classic Barcelona teams and Real Madrid teams where they'd always sign the best managers, the best players, and I think that's now moved on to the Premier League in terms of money as well. Like
yes, money was
big players
in the 90s. Money was in Italy back
then.
Yeah.
Back then, it was.
It went out of proportion.
Because
the wonderful statistic I always share is, you remember when Bayern Munich won the treble? I don't know when it was, with Jupp Heynckes, but not long ago. Cardiff was still in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Why Cardiff and Bayern Munich? Cardiff earned more money than Bayern Munich winning a treble, and they're relegated.
Parachute payments, isn't it? Yeah. It's just I think that's where it's for, because you see with teams like in the past, Fulham and Norwich, for example, they would take those parachute payments. They'd happily accept going down straight after coming back up. But just on my point before about the players and stuff, like you see with clubs like Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Fulham as well, they're signing these top quality players from these teams as well, and they're obviously getting better as well. So there's, in terms of attracting interest, there's interest from those so-called smaller teams at those clubs to sort of excel and succeed. And we've seen with this season how well Brighton, Villa, Fulham, Brentford have done this season with regards to expectation. Newcastle as well, signing these quality players that will elevate them. And that's why the Premier League's now sort of become, who's going to finish in the top 10 rather than who's going to finish in the top 4, because it's literally could be anyone.
That remembers me an interview from the agent who took over, the lady who took over from Mino Raiola. She said the scene completely changed the last 3-4 years. Back then you were saying, no, I want Barcelona, I want Bayern. Now it's Premier League. It doesn't really matter which one. just bring me
Even
over.
managers, even managers. Look at the managers coming to these mid-table teams. Lopetegui, Wolves. We've seen with Unai Emery going to Aston Villa.
The
These are
Zerbi,
top managers, man. Tottenham might get the ex-Spanish coach. I forgot his name. The guy who just retired from
Enrique.
Spain, Enrique. Yeah, these are top managers, and they're coming from Europe to the
wow,
UK. They're coming
uh,
to the Premier League. I mean, I say like UK is not in the Europe, but you know what I mean. They're coming to the UK, and I think I have to say, it's quite sad watching. Look, I'm not complaining as a Tottenham fan, but at the same time, I look at European clubs and I think the fact that they're not competing in the transfer window with 70% of the signings, I think is quite sad for football. And I think competition is a great thing in anything, in sport, in business, in so many in life. You need competition, and it feels like the Premier League at the moment is getting away with murder with the money that's coming in, whether it's money laundering or
we're
the
not
government
playing.
government
We're not
turning
playing
around.
all the same with
No,
the same resources. That's
no, no. It's definitely a problem. It's definitely a problem. But I think the only people that can sort it out is the guys at the top. The
Which they won't.
well, who knows? Are they in it? Are they part of the are they involved with this in some way where they benefit? Because most of these guys will make decisions maybe not based on democracy, but based on personal reward or personal intentions. So, who are they accountable to, these guys? And
but
Gary Neville's,
it
talking
will
about
get
regulation.
closer to the American business model, guys. I mean, they are pouring in the Premier League as well. Um,
Mm,
they want that
Very
stuff.
true. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
You sell your soul, don't you, Alex? You sell your soul.
yeah, it is for me. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that. I think most clubs now fear being owned by ownership outside this country, but they can't help themselves but want it because of the money.
Exactly. Yeah.
if you if you're a Newcastle fan, you are all excited at what's coming up, all right, in the next 2 years.
It's sad.
Until they
It's
put the
sad.
handbrake. For us outside, yes, it is a little bit.
Listen,
Uh,
I personally wish we could go back to the days where you brought your own players through the academy. You won a championship, you won a prize, and you spent that money on making a signing from another club. That was you sustainably, like a normal business. You have your costs, your profit, you work hard as a team, you make that money and you reinvest it. That would be great to go back to the 70s. But I talk to so many old people and they say, I hate this football. People who are in their 60s and 70s, they say, my football was different. We brought guys through the academy. 80% of our players for from the academy, and we buy the odd signing from Europe, and now they
It's
look at
all a
this
money
game and
making
it's
scheme as well.
crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
but
just to add to that, it's a money making scheme because even like you see with like all these TV subscriptions, you got to subscribe now to watch games now, like Sky Sports, BT Sport, Amazon Prime. What's the other one as well? There's one more as well. I
the
couldn't remember
zone,
from the top of my head. You got to pay a TV license fee as well for BBC. And then remember during lockdown as well in this country where we had to pay for those pay-per-view games that were like 20 quid to watch or something like that during lockdown. So it's all a money making scheme. Like you got all these subscription services, the Athletic as well. If you subscribe to them, you pay a fee for that as well. So that's how they make it all their money. TV money's been massive, man. For obviously Sky and BT, and that's obviously transferred onto the football clubs as well.
But Alex, would you say that the Premier League product has been exported very well? So the likes of Sky, the likes of all the major channels across Europe and non-European countries, do you think that they pay this money because the Premier League product is the most competitive product out there for the non-European customer? So the guys that don't have a German team or an Italian team, the guys outside of Europe, they all still follow a European team. It used to be Real Madrid, Barcelona, but do you feel these guys in the Premier League are doing a great job at exporting the product?
of course. Right now, in the last 20 years, yes. You can see that when you travel around the world. I used to do always a game with my friends when I travel around the world. Which team are gonna be most representative by wearing shirts? And we were always doing a shirt with somebody. For example, we went to Nepal and with my Juventus mate, and it was 3-2 for Inter Milan. We found three guys with Inter Milan shirts against. So, but yeah, Liverpool, Manchester United, they were all representative. It's an export. Yeah, internationally, globally, football, Premier League, it's the one to watch. It's the most exciting. It's the highest quality. We don't need to talk about this. And I told you, the moral in this, I love the German system, but if I were to be 18, a player, and they offer me a 8-year contract at Chelsea for whatever, what am I going to do? Going to say no? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I may have the chance to win even the Premier League. Uh, I think
It's the wages, isn't it? The wages are crazy. The wages are crazy.
in England, yes, they are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Bayern Munich do pay good wages though. I've seen the wage bills of Bayer, of Inter Milan, or Real Madrid. They do pay £200,000 a week. They do pay £300,000 a week. But I think maybe the transfer fee is something they can't justify.
But it's Dortmund and Bayern Munich.
Mm.
Okay, and then I'm struggle to count other players from other
Yeah,
clubs.
yeah.
In Italy, it's Juve, AC, Inter, and Napoli. But yeah, no, there's not so much cash like in the Premier League. I mean, stuff. I mean, in Italy, a 30 million transfer is.
Mm.
If you hear for Fana 80 million, 60 million, the first thing is who's that?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's an investment. I know.
What we'll do is we've overrun a bit of time on FFP, but I really want to bring this conversation back to the channel, guys. So we'll definitely jump back on this topic. It's a huge topic because it doesn't involve clubs; it involves the game and where the game's going. And I think maybe some of the younger fans, if you're watching, and you're a millennial born, you've just known this league and you've just known this football. But before the 2000s, I believe it was a real football. It was real football for me. And I used to watch my club bring in players from the academy and bringing in players from the smaller club round the corner, bringing in like a guy that's done well, a smaller club rather than going for the 80 million, 60 million, 50 million. And it has become a bit like Monopoly now. And it's a bit sad. And the reason it's sad is because you're only competing on finances, not really on a sport as much. And that's what kills me, is that unless you have the money, you can't compete. And that's quite sad because football should be a sport that's based on talent and quality, not just on money. And it's quite sad where football's at the moment, especially in the UK. But we'll see what happens. We'll have a conversation on that in the future as well, Alex. Love to get you back on and have this conversation.
Sure.
And anyone watching this will appreciate understanding football from not a Premier League eyes, but from your eyes, which is non-Premier League, because we're all very Premier League brainwashed, you know. So it's good to hear the other side of the argument there, the debate. Let's talk about. Let's move to the next team, and I tell you what we'll do, guys. Let's jump to Manchester United. Let's jump to Manchester United very quickly. Let's spend 5 minutes talking about Manchester United. Now, this is a club that's traditionally always outspent most of their rivals every window because they're a commercial giant. And people would argue Manchester United is a good template to follow because they have built their club on success, over many, many years. But is Manchester United underperforming? This is the question I want to ask you. They're fourth in the Premier League at the moment. They've won a trophy, but others would argue they're underachieving. Would you say they're underachieving or would you say they're overachieving?
Yeah, I would have expected them there, to be honest. Fourth, fifth.
I think they've done really well this season, to be honest. Obviously, they got knocked out early in the Europa League to Sevilla, who did quite well, performed really well, especially at their ground. They're in the FA Cup final as well, gone past some decent teams as well in the FA Cup. You could argue the Carabao Cup run was really easy, though. I don't think they faced I don't know if they faced the Premier League club in the Carabao Cup run. So, but a lot of debates going around who's had a better season, Arsenal, Man United, and I can't lie, football's a win about trophies, isn't it? So it's hard to argue with people that say Man United have had a better season than Arsenal, with the fact that they've obviously ended up with one trophy. They could end up with two, maybe. But yeah, I think they've done pretty decent compared to where they were last season. If obviously they knock City off their patch in the FA Cup finals, try and stop that treble happening for them, which is obviously another sort of incentive for them to stop as well. But yeah, I think Man United fans can feel quite satisfied with the season compared to what they've been used to in recent years.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with most of that. What about you, Alex? Are Man United underachieving?
I would, I wouldn't be happy about the last transfers, to be honest.
Mm.
This Anthony, they spent quite a lot of money for this Anthony guy. Um,
80, I think, was it? Crazy.
okay,
I think it
Martin,
was 100 actually.
Lisandro, 90. Yeah, I had 90 in my mind. Lisandro, okay, all right. Okay, now you can't say a lot because he's a world champion, a World Cup champion. But yeah, their last transfers, and they don't have a niner, a proper 25 goals niner. Rashford is an attacker, but I mean an Ibra Haaland style kind of a niner. Proper boom.
Mm. Yeah, they're lacking up front. Do you think it was a mistake to sell Lukaku then, Alex? Then because he showed in many teams that he can be top level. I mean, they sold Lukaku. Maybe that was one to hold on to. Do you think?
No, maybe it doesn't suit the Premier League. I think I'm starting to think, but at Everton he was great. He
Mm.
was scoring goal. I'm just thinking Lukaku needs because look where he was excelling. He was always excelling where he's in the center of the team and everybody. He's the big baba and everybody's around him. He was that in Everton and he was that at Inter. He is still in Inter. That's the reason he still loves Inter and he still would like to stay at Inter even after the loan spell now, but that's going to be a tricky one. So I think, yeah, that element is very important. If he's just a star between many, like a Chelsea or Man United, then I'm not sure. And the fast-paced football in the Premier League, I'm not sure now.
Yeah, I think Dharms, you'd agree, right? He's not good enough for the Premier League now, Lukaku.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think his ego's taken over a lot. We've seen with the interviews that came out when he was a Chelsea player last season, with the fact that as soon as he came in 2 months after, he wanted to go back to Inter Milan, didn't respect our fan base, didn't respect the club at all. If he really wanted to stay into last season, he should have just stayed there, to be honest, and not said all those things about wanting to come back and prove a point at Chelsea, kissing the badge and all that stuff.
He wanted though. He wanted though. He really had this dream.
What
No,
as in
I don't know what happened
oh
there.
really?
Yeah, he really wanted it. Come on, we were
Yeah,
disappointed
but
as well as Inter Milan supporters.
yeah,
But we understood. I mean, I understood it. It was his dream. He really wanted it, but it didn't go right.
yeah.
Is
It's
that
a
because
weird
of
one.
Tuchel? Is that because of Tuchel, or is that because of him?
Partially, I think it's partially on Tuchel, but I think partially the way we were playing, because every time we'd sort of play under Tuchel, we'd just be too many touches, too many sideways passes, and no, he didn't get any service at times, and he still ended up as our sort of joint top scorer that season, more than Havertz, and I think he played less minutes than Havertz as well. So I mean, I guess he's coming back next season to us as well, because obviously he's on loan, and we'll see what happens to him. I guess maybe he goes back into Milan.
Well, we're not gonna pay 20 million again for a year.
Yeah. Oh, I hope you guys do. Honestly, just take him off our hands. Like, I
Well,
honestly don't know what happened with
that's what
Lukaku,
we're
man.
hoping. That's what we're
Yeah, I
hoping.
mean, like, we want to
Inter
try
Not
and
be a
made
lot.
Inter made some good money, huh, out of that transfer.
exactly, yeah, and
Oh,
obviously we want to
nah.
try and make back some money from spending 100 million on Lukaku. So
That
I
was
think
a
we'll come up with a solution. If not, then I could genuinely see him starting for us next season, and he'd have to apologize and actually mean it this time and win back the fans in order to sort of start playing again in a Chelsea shirt, in my opinion.
nice. Yeah, they have to find a solution. It's not
I think it'll
for
be
Chelsea
best they
permanent.
they,
Yeah,
they just keep the player happy, because you don't want an unhappy player, especially as your
exactly.
forward. You don't want
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
forward to be unhappy, right? And I think you're right. Lukaku, maybe ego is a strong word, but I think he's quite proud of what he's achieved and what he's done in the game. So you don't want to play at that age. You just don't need it. You just don't need it. If it's a younger player, maybe you can turn the head a bit and say work hard. But Lukaku knows what he wants, right? He wants to stay at Inter Milan from what I'm hearing. So just give the boy
Let,
his wish. You
let's
know,
see. Let's see what JC does. Let's see.
there might be an Inter Milan player you can trade with him. You never know. There might be someone that
Well, they're talking with Onana about something with Onana,
yeah.
but
I'll take Sorpanana for Lukaku. I'll be happy, or
nice
even
player.
Milan Skriniar, what him as well. I wouldn't
Ooh,
mind.
well, we
Chelsea need
lost
him.
him. We lost him. He
Oh
signed for
yes, yeah, he
PSG.
signed for PSG, isn't he? Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
We lost him for free.
Yeah, it'd have to be someone else.
Onana, I'll take it. Onana for Lukaku, that's it.
See what happens, guys. Let's move on to Liverpool. So Liverpool at the moment in great form, and they just about beat Tottenham. They showed some weakness when Tottenham came back from 3 goals down, and they showed that they're very vulnerable at the back. At Anfield, which is quite embarrassing to be 3-0 up and to be 3-3 in the 90th minute. That's really embarrassing. But they did, in the end, with a bit of luck, finish the game off and get the 3 points. But Liverpool have a great manager. I believe Jurgen Klopp's a great manager. They've got the board, which Liverpool fans would argue are not doing enough. They've pulled out the Bellingham race, which Liverpool fans will be disappointed about because they need a midfielder. But looking at Liverpool at the moment, guys, do you think that they're just going through a wobble and it's just a case of back to recruitment, in the summer, sign the right players? But they do have some defensive weaknesses as well as midfield. So it's not just one area of the pitch they need to fix. They're very top heavy, a bit like Tottenham. They've got some good players up top, but behind that, they're struggling. I mean, Liverpool are probably going to finish fifth this season, guys. From looking at this table here, they've got a lot of catching up to do. Man United have a game in hand. Man United win that game, you could probably argue that Man United have taken fourth. How do you guys look at Liverpool? I mean, do you blame more the owners, or do you think that Klopp's got it wrong this season? I mean, how do you look at it?
I'll probably say it's a bit of both or a bit of everything, to be honest. I think it's the players. I think it's a bit on Jurgen Klopp as well, for not asking for midfielders in the summer as well, because there's lots of reports that Jurgen Klopp said no to midfielders. He was happy with what he had. So that's partially on him as well. And the fact that he's not sort of fixed the defense and being ruthless on the owners, that's partially on him as well. And it is on the owners as well for not obviously investing into the team, like say Chelsea have, Man United have, Man City have, Arsenal have as well. So, and obviously there's rumors in the summer that they're gonna sign maybe 2 or 3 midfielders as well. Spend a lot of money. I'm hearing £200 million apparently they're going to spend in all those sort of positions. They've been linked with Mason Mount, Conor Gallagher as well. They've been linked with, obviously Bellingham's the one they've been linked with or want the most. But yeah, I truly think if Liverpool do get backed properly, I think this summer, I think they could be a team to watch next season and could possibly maybe challenge Man City again for the title. I think if they recruit correctly and if they obviously gel together, Diaz, Jota, Nunes, and Salah all together, then yeah, I think the Liverpool of old of the past few seasons could come back next season. But I think a lot of people are going to judge Klopp next season rather than this season because a lot of people, a lot of clubs that have that sort of dip in the season. But if this continues, then we know it's a downward spiral. But yeah, it's just a wait and see with Liverpool and during the summer, to be honest, and see how they do because they've had good results this season. They've beaten Rangers 7-1. They beat obviously Man United 7-0. Did they score 6 as well, or I can't remember who it was against, but they scored
In the
6,
beginning.
didn't they?
Yeah. Early in the
Yeah, and
season.
they've beat Bournemouth like 9-0 as well, so they are capable, but it's just they're just really inconsistent. So yeah, Trent's obviously done quite well in his new role as well, with a new setup in midfield. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Liverpool do next season, to be honest.
Yeah. Alex, do you agree with that? Is Klopp working wonders there with what he's got?
I think they missed the transition. I think the transition. I think we all agree after so many years successful and after winning the Champions League, they started with I think they started very well the attacking transition with this year. We will probably see the nicer things from all those Gakpo and Diaz and Nunes from the next 24 months. But in defense, they completely missed it, that transition to happen. And in midfield, if you say midfield, Elliot and Curtis, what can I tell you? Yeah, they run around. I can't tell you what their strength are. If you ask me right now, I only know they are very engaged, very very honored, very passionate, and very working a lot for the team. But yeah, for me, it's a transition. They kind of lost it a little bit. Now they have to do everything at once. That's the reason they don't want to spend 100 million, because they need to do a lot of things. to correct in this summer. And it's a wise decision. They took that decision with Jude Bellingham. It doesn't suit them either because Klopp is there. It's not a guy who spends 100 million on a player. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think many would want Jude Bellingham at their club. You know what he's done in Germany, what he's done for England, what he's done in the Champions League. So I think Jude's a great signing, and he wants to come back to England. You know, by the sounds of it, maybe Real Madrid will come in for him. Let's see. But I think you've got a player there who, under the right coach, under some consistency, a Klopp or a Pep, maybe a Ten Hag, you could argue, would do well. And I think that's what Bellingham needs. He needs a coach to take him to that next level. We've seen the likes of Sancho come here and struggle from Germany, from the Bundesliga. We've seen one or two players in the past that's happened to as well. Who knows?
Werner,
Jude might
Havertz.
struggle in the Premier League. You never know. You know, it might be too fast for him. There is always that slight step up, isn't there, in quality when you come from the Bundesliga?
Guys, don't underestimate Borussia Dortmund's work with the youngs. They are top in Europe. 20 years ago it was Ajax. Ajax still produces like a bakery talents, zack, zack, zack. But this whole thing nurturing one, or even taking with somebody already mid-stage, like 18, 19, already kind of known, and then bringing them to the next level. Dortmund has proven that many times that
Very
they
Haaland.
true.
can do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Not from 1 to 7, but taking them already at 6, 7, and then putting them up to 10 and becoming. So Dortmund is very famous for that in Europe.
They're
And
kind of like a feeder club in terms of like we've had clubs in the Premier League where they've produced great talents. Like remember Southampton produced so many good talents. Like two of the ones that stand out, Mane, Van Dijk. Obviously Brighton have produced some great talents as well. So I think Dortmund definitely one of those sort of like feeder clubs where produce great talents. Even in the Champions League this season, I was impressed with them, especially in the first leg against us. I forgot his name. The one you scored, is it Adiemi? He gave Reece James a tough
yeah,
time that game, and not many players do that apart from probably Vinicius. But
because
Adiemi,
the young players at Dortmund, they've got a special assistant for young players, and they
oh
assist
right,
them.
okay,
I don't know. So, and I'm thinking, maybe Jadon Sancho, when he came to Manchester United, it's like, now you have to start to being an adult. You're in a football club, and now you have to perform, and and obviously it doesn't have the continued minutes he's getting. So that adds all up. It's quite a big challenge for him.
Yep, yep, it is. Well, he's been playing well recently. Actually, he scored a few goals. So Sancho coming good. I think you've got to give these guys a season, anyways, before you judge them. I don't think it's fair to judge them, in their first 3 or 4 months. And I think a lot of those Chelsea players will come good. Personally, I think they just need a bit of consistency, and they'll come good. They're good players from their previous teams. So the likes of Enzo already showing what he can do. Mudryk, we'll have to see what he does tonight against an Arsenal team that
I
he might have
can't
been playing
wait
in.
for him to score tonight. I hope he does. Honestly,
That's what everyone's been saying. Mudryk's going to score. Mudryk's going to score.
Aubameyang as
Uh,
well.
Bamiyang, yeah, there's a few revenge on the cards tonight, right? But guys, let's move from Liverpool. Just conscious of time. Let's move from Liverpool to Tottenham Hotspur. My team, Tottenham Hotspur, very painful season. Seeing Conte come in with the highs of last season, finishing top four, finishing, strong, going into the summer. Tottenham finally signing some quality. The Perisic's. We brought in Richarlison, World Cup player. We had Romero at the back. We had Hugo Lloris, World Cup winner. We had a spine. We had Kulusevski and Bentancur, nice players from Juve, and they showed at the end of last season what they can do. So we were really excited, Tottenham fans, and we started the season with our best ever start. That was Tottenham's best ever start, the first 10 games. So we accumulated a lot of points. And then we went into the World Cup. And then after that, it started to go downhill with Conte complaining about the January transfer window. We signed Pedro Porro for 40 million. We didn't sign a defender, which Conte probably wanted, but he was talking in riddles. He would say things. He would say things indirectly, but we could all read what he was saying. And then obviously you all saw the interview after the Southampton game where he just basically said everything that he wanted to say in 15 minutes. And the question I want to ask you is, Tottenham fans are split with the chairman, Daniel Levy, as to whether he's a good chairman because he's taken Spurs from a mid-table club to European football for something like 20 out of 22 seasons. You know, Tottenham have been in Europe. So they've had a European history now for 20 years. They've won nothing. They've won one League Cup. But he has built off the pitch a stadium, which is great. Everybody talks about how great this stadium is. He's brought in other revenues like NFL and concerts, Beyonce and boxing and Anthony Joshua. He's also developed the training facilities at a world-class standard. And Tottenham have been selected as one of the teams for the next Euros if England win the bid. So he's done a lot off the pitch. He's brought European football. But my question to you guys is Daniel Levy the right man to take Tottenham forward?
No way, man. So the faster you sell, the better for Spurs. Obviously, I don't want to see you guys succeed. I never want to see you guys succeed. But but if I'm being totally honest, like just like as in like talking seriously and stuff, like I think Daniel Levy's like poison for your club. I think what he's done to your club. He's bled you dry. Obviously, a lot of off the pitch stuff, but a lot of people are going to talk about what he's done on the pitch. And on the pitch for Tottenham, he's not invested in the team. He's a bit of a scattergun approach in terms of hiring different styles of managers, in terms of going from Poch to Conte to Mourinho, then to Nuno, and then now obviously not finding an adequate replacement for Conte. Having Stellini in charge when Conte made those comments after press conference 12 days, just actually sack him and not find a replacement. So yeah, it's very debatable whether Tottenham or Chelsea's had the messier season. I think it's a bit equal in that way. You could arguably say we've had a messy season because of the position we're in, but yeah, man, the quicker Harry Kane gets out of there, man, the quicker the better for obviously himself. But yeah, I just think Tottenham need new owners, whether that's any Arabs coming in, Qataris or whoever, just not Daniel Levy, because yeah, he's really sucked the life out of your club, I think.
Alex can't wait to get into this one. Go on, Alex.
So you want to play with the big boys, with the Premier League rules, with a tight purse? No, you can't. Sorry, guys. So then, so let's go back. So he's done a good job to stay there in the top 10 in the last 10 years and getting sometimes semi-final, half-final, and semi-Champions League, sustainable with.
I think we've lost him on the connection. So I think he was there.
Daniel Levy doesn't agree with him. He's cut him off.
Yeah, Levy's got spies, man. Levy's got spies. He's cut his connection off. So I think what he was going to lead into, and we'll let Alex finish off when he comes back in, is I think he was going to lead into, like, if you're going to compete with the big boys, you got to spend like the big boys. But the counter argument to that would be the likes of Liverpool maybe not spending as much as one would expect over the last couple of windows, but still managing to get their recruitment right. And this is where recruitment's important, right? Because the Tanguy and Ndombele's cost money, 60 million. The Lo Celsos cost money. And the Davinson Sanchez's cost 40 million. You know, Tottenham have tried to sign or spend money on certain players. Davinson Sanchez was classed as, you know, the Ajax player of the year that season. So, you know, Tottenham have tried to sign decent players in the past. It's just they haven't got it right in recruitment. And we've got Alex back on, so let's stick you back on the screen.
Yes,
Alex, you're back on, mate. Yeah, finish off what you're saying, man.
I think you can't pretend. You know, Daniel Levy has done a good job. He's been in the last 10 years, and you know, in the top 10 in European Cups. No trophy, won nothing, but he kept you alive on a sustainable way. So you can expect more. If that's the game, you know, if that's what you have to put the resources into play, it's not bad what he got out. But if you look left, right, and center, and you see Chelsea spending, you see Man City and Man United, then you think, you know, as a Tottenham, you are disappointed as a Tottenham Spurs supporter. I understand that. Look, every club knows if you have to deal with Levy, it's such a pain in the, you know, in the butts, you know, from a negotiation point of view, it's hard. And no, I don't think they've done a good transfer market in the last the last players. I can see Paratic's hand there, trying to save money as possible. Trying to get Italian 3, 4, 7, 8 million players. If they didn't, cut it in Juventus, why do you think they will cut it in the Premier League? If Juventus sells a player, there's a reason why they're selling a player.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
So for
Alex,
me, what I'm saying is, if
Bentancur has been decent, and Kulusevski's been okay. They've not. I wouldn't say they've been flops, but I agree with your point. They haven't taken us to the next level.
Perisic is already out of his, depth. Already at the Inter Milan, I wasn't really happy with him. And then I was thinking, wow, now he gets to the Premier League. Oof.
You know what? Funnily enough, about Perisic, after his assist on the weekend, he's in the top 4 assists of the Premier League. He's above Bruno.
Wow.
At Man United. But that stats only tell you one thing. You have to look at his overall performance, and defensively, he's not good enough.
Sure, but I'm talking about long investment. What is he? 33?
Yeah.
34, maybe.
Yeah.
It's about that. Kulusevski, okay, he's young. But for me, all I'm saying is, if you would have been one of those oil or Russian money club, you would have been a complete different story.
So do you think Daniel Levy's done a good job, an average job, or a bad job?
But from which view, though? From your view as a from your view as a fan,
From a fan, from a Spurs fan view,
or from a management view? From a management view, because from a management view, with the resources he has, he's done well. If you say from a fan view, and looking what's going on in the Premier League, looking even at Fulham spends more than me and other clubs. And it's not about the spending; it's about it's the good recruiting of players. Just not going around and
and Ndombele, 60 million waste. Davinson Sanchez, 40 million.
So for me, and maybe that's a good way to jump to our next topic, one of the best recruiting jobs in the last 5 years has been Napoli.
Oh, Napoli. Okay. Yeah.
Taking a Kvara or Osimhen, and putting him as well on the next level, which I think it should be one of the top hot properties for the next transfer summer.
Yeah, he's. I think he's touted by many clubs. Chelsea already have Nkuku in, don't they? Signed up, and he's going to be hopefully a hit for you guys. I mean, he's been a hit so far. Let's talk Chelsea, guys. Let's talk Chelsea. So I've got a couple of comments here. Let's just show them on the screen. I think you got a fan in the house. I think you got a fan in the house.
That's from the States, you see.
Yeah, Anthony says Levy needs to get out of the football part of the club. He's a good business operator, not a football guy.
Random that's what I mean.
And random hire managers. Look, as a Spurs fan, guys, having felt the pain of the last however many years, I was in Madrid. I was at the final. Came back from Madrid, 2-0. We lost the final. Came back, and I thought, okay, it's fine. We go again next year. Where did we go next year? Well, we didn't go far. By Christmas, Pochettino was sacked. We had the Messiah, Jose Mourinho, and I thought, oh, the trophy man's here. The man that wins you a trophy, wherever he goes. We broke Mourinho. Then we had Conte. Well, we had Nuno for 5 minutes. Then we had Conte. And I thought, right, this is it now. Right? This is it.
No, you had it. With Conte, I tell you one thing. For me, Conte is one of the best managers. But if you show him the carrot, you need to give him the carrot.
Yep.
And he wants to have a little bit power of transfers. But he is a winner wherever he goes.
What would you guys say? And Dharms, you know about this. Gary Neville will tell you this, and you know who Gary Neville is, obviously, right? Alex, he's all over the British media, right? Sure. He's got his YouTube channel. I forgot the name, whatever it is called. Overlap, and he keeps saying this, Gary Neville, that the Contes are done. The Conte managers come in for 3 years and then they leave a dressing room split, broken, and with no longevity, because they come, they're like a car crash, boom, They win you a trophy and they're gone. Whereas the Ten Hags and the Klopps are here for 6, 7 years. They're project managers and they work with the owners and they respect the owners. What would you say in response to Gary Neville's view on the Contes and Joses being destructive in the long term and just successful in the short term?
I think it's I think he's got some point, but at the same time, I don't think that's necessary to sort of say that way, because obviously they were Conte was linked with Man United, wasn't he, initially before he got the Tottenham job, and there is some truth in what he says about Conte and Mourinho leaving up sort of like messing the dressing rooms after in terms of their own sort of personal agendas and egos in terms of turning players against each other. I think you mentioned as well, which is true, to be honest. But at the end of the day, like, football's about trophies, isn't it? And obviously, like, if they come in and win you something, you're gonna remember them for a while. Like, that's what I always remember. Antonio Conte, that obviously won the league with us, won the FA Cup with us as well. Jose, obviously, in my opinion, our most successful manager that we've had. Won multiple league titles, won cups as well for us. Always be grateful and stuff for that. But I think football's evolved, especially in the Premier League now, where you have to play a certain brand of football to sustain over the years, basically, and you can't really have that sort of setup nowadays. I think where you sit back, park the bus, and hope for the best, basically, which is essentially what their known styles of football are defensive football, and I don't think it works with what we got. I think Pep Guardiola has changed that since he came to the Premier League. I think he's changed how Premier League football has been played.
Well, if I have to manage Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Man City, I would be probably around there as well.
That's
Exactly
true, but
you know what I
then
mean.
again, you have to win. You do have to win
That's
when
the
you're
reason
there.
I've
Like,
got
you still have
respect
to do
for
the task.
Conte.
Yeah,
That's the reason I've got respect for Conte and for Mourinho.
yeah,
Because wherever they go, and they don't take on purpose easy challenges. You know, like a Mourinho say, okay, now you know what, I go to Inter Milan. They haven't won it for 50, 60 years. I turn it around. Or, you know, a Conte goes to Tottenham. I found it as well very courageous that he did this step. So I've got a lot of respect for them. For the people like Ferguson or Wenger, you know, with all due respect, I've got a little bit of respect. But they're, for me, another type of manager. You can't compare them with the Capello, Ancelotti, Conte, Mourinho. Guys, they won at different stages, and not always the guy with the check. Yeah, with Guardiola, he's got a very lucky and fortunate and, you know, superlative career, Guardiola, and he's somebody, you know, he improves players and young players with all the respect, but they are not comparable to other managers.
Yeah. Let's talk about Chelsea's next manager. Is Pochettino the right man for Chelsea, guys?
yes, 100% yes. I think with what we've got right now and the options that will be put out there, Enrique was probably my number one choice from what was out there, but Pochettino definitely I'm totally on board with. I know a lot of Chelsea fans will be against it because of the Tottenham sort of rivalry and agendas, but I think even as a Chelsea fan, I have to admit Tottenham were serious for at least 2 years in terms of almost fighting for the league, playing good football, getting the best out of likes of Dele Alli, who's nowhere to be seen now. Obviously bringing in Kane as well from the academy as well. That was Billy Pochettino, wasn't it?
Danny Rose,
As
Carl
well.
Walker. He brought them on big time.
Plays a good football, and obviously that's what us as Chelsea fans have been crying out for, is a manager who plays good football and can be there for a long time, and obviously deliver success as well, which is the main thing. But yeah, if Harry Kane could come to Chelsea as well, that will obviously be a big bonus, which I highly doubt. It's very unlikely, but dreaming is free, isn't it?
Calm down.
Dreaming is free, isn't it, bro? So
Hey,
why
listen,
not?
I won't be if Harry Kane goes to Chelsea, then I'm done with Harry Kane. Alex, is Pochettino right for Chelsea?
Maybe. You know, it ticks all the boxes. Maybe.
Yeah.
But if I would be a Chelsea fan, and you know what, in England, you know, my England team is Chelsea. I would spend 50 million to get. I would spend 50 million to get the Zerbi, because you need two things in football these days. You need psychology and a little bit of football strategy, a little bit chess player, and he's got both of that. Again, a traveler, taking challenges, and always winning where the he ever was.
Alex, tell
Always
us
winning.
about the Zebri's past for those that don't know. With the
So
obviously, you
the
know.
Zerbi, well, I actually know him before Salernitana, before Sassuolo. I don't actually know, but he was very successful in the amateur leagues. Then he took over Serie A at Sassuolo, and he finished sixth place with them. A little team, Italian team in the Serie A with low budget, very famous for developing young Italian players. And then he went to Shakhtar Donetsk in Ukraine. He was very successful there, and then we all know what happened. And then this is the other element, because the experience he just made in Ukraine, he stayed there until every player was safe. He didn't leave the country. So if you were reading a couple of interviews from players, they were telling you that Zen was a big man and like a brother and father and all that, and obviously leader, that makes something out of you, as a man. And then if you go, you get an offer at Brighton, you take life in a different
You know, I was
way.
quite surprised is at the Dharms. You gotta go, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
take
bro.
care, mate.
Big
Good luck.
up.
Good luck. Good
See you,
luck tonight.
Alex. See you, Josh.
Good luck,
Yeah, let's
good
hope.
luck,
Let's hope
Chelsea.
for a Madrid goal and a Aubameyang goal. Let's end Arsenal for good,
Hey,
man.
listen,
Big
I'm
up,
not
boys.
complaining if Arsenal lose. All the best.
In a bit. In a bit.
See you soon. So, Alex, the thing I wanted
Whoops.
to say is when I was watching Brighton versus Tottenham recently, Tottenham Brighton, sorry, they came to Tottenham, and De Zerbi at the beginning of the match, somewhere in the match in the first half, I think it was, he was shouting at Stellini, saying something to him. I don't know if you remember seeing that,
Yeah, I didn't see the
pointing his
scene.
finger. Yeah, because Stellini had said in the pre-match conference that De Zerbi, indirectly, he'd said that De Zerbi is doing well off the back of Graham Potter's success.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so I think, and he said something about De Zerbi being very something he said, right? And De Zerbi on the
Well, to be
pitch.
honest, he put two notches on top of. I mean, with all the respect with Graham Potter, but I think Brighton plays slightly different.
Maybe 5 games you get a run out the players after a new manager bounce. When the new manager comes in, sometimes you get 5 wins, and then and then if they're struggling. But this guy's, I don't know how many games it's been, but majority of the season he's showed with Brighton that they can go away, they can beat the big teams. Manchester United won on penalties in the FA Cup. But Brian could have won that. They were good on the day. So I think the De Zerbi talk about Graham Potter having set up this success is, you would say that that's incorrect, right? That's quite,
Yeah, that's incorrect. It's very
yeah. He's a good manager, De Zerbi. So you know what? As a Tottenham man, I wouldn't mind De Zerbi. I wouldn't mind De Zerbi actually, because you know what? I think some of the younger managers, maybe they have a more aggressive football style, and
It's
because they're
much
from
more
the young
vertical. Yeah,
generation,
it's
yeah,
much more vertical. All his teams are very vertical. Sassuolo, Donetsk, yeah, Brighton, very, very, very attacking football, very straight to the point.
it's brilliant. It's brilliant to watch, and I think for me as a football fan, and I don't just watch Tottenham, I watch lots of teams. I really admire teams that go away and play front foot football. At home, you're expected to do that. At home, every football club should play front foot football. But when they go away, which is what Brighton do with De Zerbi, and they play that kind of football, for me, I don't even care if they lose. I'm
But,
still happy
but
with that.
Josh, they are Brighton, they are Sassuolo, which means
Mm.
the opposite team is trying to get 3 goals out of you or thinking to get three. So they're getting at you. So you have a lot of space in front of you.
Yep,
So I don't know how the Zerbi will do at Manchester
as a
United or
bigger club.
Chelsea,
Yep,
where they're
yep.
starting to close
You
the
got to break
gaps at
them
the
down.
back
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fair point.
and those things.
Yeah.
Um, that's the reason I had this when we were talking about Arsenal at the start, where you were seeing, always we're seeing them like that, because only Man City and Liverpool can play that very high pressure, superb,
Intensity.
technical, intense football.
Yep,
Technical,
yep,
yeah,
yep.
high
No
tense, no
mistakes.
space, no, you know, Only those two teams in the last
Efficient.
5 years could,
Yeah.
not Man United, no Arsenal,
Yeah.
not even the best days of Man United. But only those
Mm.
two teams can play that type of football.
And the reason they play that football is because that's what they do every day in practice, right? It doesn't just come like that. That's Klopp drilling, drilling, drilling every day his players what to do.
That's because I think when he came, he really selected his players. He knew a couple of players in Germany, took them straight away. Firmino and this and that. So that was his little,
Mm,
game, his little and puzzle. And now the puzzle he needs to. That's what I meant. He need to slightly, but not all at once. Over the time, if you're a good managing, long-term manager, you have to replace them. And I think they missed that. And now they have to do it maybe too fast in the midfield and on the defense side.
yeah, and this is why I think Klopp is underrated.
Okay.
I think he's one of the best at the moment.
But that's the reason I love Guardiola for selecting. His transfers are always fitting perfectly the puzzle. You know,
Yeah, the
not
philosophies.
everybody takes not everybody takes a Bernardo
Yeah.
Silva.
Do you know what? And Chelsea have shown you can spend money and it doesn't buy success. Man United have shown you can spend money and it doesn't buy success. Jurgen Klopp and Pep have shown, and Arteta, we have to say this season, have shown that you don't have to spend big money, but you know your profile, you know your game, you know all the relationships and partnerships in your team, and you just pick the right two or three players each season.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that in football is underrated because there's this whole thing about go and sign the best player, go and sign this, but maybe you don't spend 90 million there, you spend 30 million, 30 million, 30 million, and you bring in slightly a younger profile, but you develop them into your team's style of play rather than buying someone who's used to playing only one way.
But it's depending on your recruiting. I know it's still in the old school days. You've got national recruiters at amateur levels, and you send video cassette back then, VHS, to the clubs. Look at this guy, 13-year-old, Jesus Christ, 45,
Mm,
and they're watching. And then what? And do you think they are going to the supermarket and playing and buying the play? No, they're observing for 2, 3 years.
mm,
How do you think they got Kvarashvili in Georgia?
mm,
They
mm,
were they were observing this guy for 2 years.
mm, mm.
And this is what I mean with old school, recruiting. And then you pick the right player when you know the player's got the right athlete, body,
Yep.
attitude,
Yep.
character, skills,
Before they
the
blow
whole
up.
package
Before they blow up. Yeah.
before
Before they
the.
blow up. Yeah. Tell me in Europe, forget the big money signings. Tell me in Europe the signings that are close to exploding and the Premier League clubs should be going fishing now for them. So they haven't quite hit the levels of say they haven't hit the Champions Leagues yet. They're
So
still swimming under that
so
radar, but you feel they're going to be big.
so for me, the Lautaro and Osimhen are the next two 100 over million transfers to the Premier League. And sorry, if somebody's looking for a nine in the Premier League in Italy, if you put that filter on, but it's those two. You don't need to look further. It's
What about
Lautaro and Osimhen.
defenders? What about defenders? Because at the moment, the Premier League's suffering from a major crisis. Every club has a defensive crisis at the moment, pretty much.
Yes, yes, because high in trend are the German, the French defenders right now. The Italians are suffering in that zone as well, but fortunately, somebody's coming up, which is Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan.
Wow, what a
There's
player.
been some speculation with Tottenham as well.
Yeah,
Um,
what a player.
yeah, he's a good he's a good defender, the typical DNA Italian defender. But then he's got this long cross range crossing going on as well, which is proven
Mm.
many times this season. But I can't tell you many players either in Italy defender wise.
Who's the Italian defender of the year? Tottenham picked up Romero for 50 million a couple of seasons back, and he's been an okay signing. He does make some mistakes.
He's
Um,
done badly lately. I know he's done
yeah,
badly lately.
yeah, yeah. He's been I think he's playing alongside shit at the moment as well.
But But the Italians were thinking, good for them at Tottenham that they can afford it, because he was considered one of the best defenders in the
He
Serie A
showed
in
it in
the
the World
last
Cup.
years.
He showed it in the World Cup. How
Um,
good he is in a decent team. He showed it in Argentina's team that he can defend well. I feel sorry for him with Eric Dyer next to him, who's, who's not good, who's not good enough.
well, he was not good enough for a midfield, and then you're putting it back,
Ah,
trying to do a Pirlo,
and this is why
a
Daniel Levy
Pirlo
is.
kind of a thing.
This guy
No.
is not good enough. Okay, he needs to be in the mid-table at maximum. I don't even think he would survive in mid-table. I think he would survive in the championship. His awareness, his speed is lacking, and if you don't have awareness and you don't have speed, then you're stuck, because then you have to be seriously lucky, or seriously strong, which is not. So that's Eric Dyer. But I mean, this summer the Premier League will go fishing in Europe for the best defenders. You mentioned Bastoni. Any other players in defence in the Italian league which you feel are not going to be 80 million but 20 million, but in 2 years they'll be superstars? Any of those young guys? So Destiny Udogie, who Tottenham have signed, who they'll get this season. He's a good left back, huh? Left wing back.
Who's that?
Udogie, Destiny Udogie.
From
You know,
Udinese?
from yes. So he will come to Spurs this summer.
Yeah, but it's a Pratici deal. I see
The
it. You see it.
Paratici signing, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
see it. I
Udinese, yeah.
see it. I see
But
it.
are
It's
there
a
any
kind of
other
a
good players? Any
well,
other good youngsters?
yeah,
Youngsters, not the 50 millions, the 20 millions. Who would you say is
no, and
looking good?
that's because Serie A is not a league for that, and we've been lacking such. Something like a Rooney 17, a Rashford kind of thing, a Greenwood kind. It can't exist in Italy. We don't give those players a chance.
Right.
Um, Scamacca with 20 had to go away because he doesn't get minutes time
Is
in
the
Italy.
level too high?
No, it's. I don't know if it's the pressure on the trainers and the managers. They've got too high pressure to win. To bring
Hmm.
trophy, to bring results, and they're scared. For them, bring the youngsters in is a risk. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but there are teams like Sassuolo. That they are actually run like that. They invest in
Hmm.
young players and
Hmm.
they're throwing them in.
Yeah.
You remember the Parma golden years? That was a
Hmm.
club where all the bigger clubs were done by their youngsters.
Hmm.
And Parma was benefiting from it, because they were ranking up the league, and the big clubs after 2 3 years, nice at 23 24 years, nice mature, they were going up.
Yeah, but I think that's just football, right? You take your young players, you bring in, you buy the young players at 15, 16, 17 years old, and then you put them out into lesser leagues. You let them grow into men, and then you bring them back. Chelsea have been quite successful with that. We see that with Tammy Abraham, with Reece James, with Callum Hudson-Odoi, with Mason Mount, and it's like almost like we'll get them young, we'll buy them cheap, we'll put them out on loan. We'll make our money back.
Well,
And
I'm not sure if they're successful because now for me they stopped.
yep,
I
their
love
ceiling.
Loftus Cheek stopped long time ago, already
Yep,
23 24.
yep, yep,
Mason Mount is already on the downfall. He already the peak, or like a Deli Ali.
yep.
There've been a couple of
The
English
pressure,
players.
too much
I
pressure.
don't know what it is, but they're kind of a
Mm,
23 and then boop,
yep.
dipping down. Maybe it's the money.
Conor McGallagher.
Yeah, my friend Oliver wants to suggest a nice deal here.
Oh, is it? Okay, let's see what he's saying here. Want to trade Die? He's a.
I think it's a good deal
He,
for you,
he-
Josh.
I, I don't know which one's worse. I just feel sorry for England. I just feel sorry for England reading that, because England have to worry about that. That's Southgate. That's a question for Southgate, not for me. Um, but I think, seriously speaking, I'd take Maguire. I'd take
Yeah,
Maguire
yeah,
over Eric
definitely.
Dyer.
Between
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
two.
yeah. I think he's shown it in the World Cup that he can perform. I think Maguire's maybe just got a mental block at Man United now. It's the
Yeah.
fans have given up. He needs a fresh challenge.
Yes, and then a
He needs a fresh
mid-table,
challenge.
in mid-table team. Yeah, I don't think it's.
Yeah, maybe he goes again. Playing for big clubs is not as maybe reliant on your technical ability and on your physical ability, but reliant on your mindset because of the pressure. You know, being a big signing for 80 million. Um, I don't think a lot of players realize when they go a step up that maybe the pressure from the fans, from the media, from the manager, you know, and the Champions League. You know, a lot of these players play in the Champions League and they suffer. And they always want to play in the Champions
but
League. They
but
get in the Champions League.
but Josh, I don't want this type of body, sports athletic body like Maguire in my defense.
Hmm.
He's not athletic.
No,
Yeah,
he's
I
not.
want a more type of uh, maybe
Like,
his height. Van Dijk is kind of a perfect athlete,
yeah.
kind of a type of a defender you want. Height and body, physique, and fast.
Yeah. I think the intelligence of a football player is now more reliant than any ever period before. You know, you look at Lisandro Martinez at Man United. He's very intelligent in his movement.
He reminds me a lot of Cannavaro, Fabio Cannavaro,
Yeah,
because of his positioning and as well his fighting spirit. But let's see, it still has to be proven. But
still has to be
I'm
proven.
seeing good things. The last 3 4 months from him, definitely.
Yeah, and I think the Premier League with European imports, managers, players is benefiting the football here in the Premier League. You know, before you could get away with counter, you could get away with long ball. Now
Ah,
the likes of Brighton, Fulham, Brentford, they're
no,
opening
it's a
teams up.
chess play. It's a chess game now. It's a chess game.
It is, and it's great. It's great for I think it's great for the fan because many years English fans watching the Premier League have seen ugly football,
Yeah,
you know, and you've had the odd team come along. Arsenal did it under Wenger. Jose showed a different side of football, which was not necessarily beautiful football, but effective football. Pep has shown us probably some of the most beautiful football we've ever seen in the Premier League, I would say. And then Klopp has shown us a different hybrid of pace, intensity, efficiency, not necessarily tiki taka, but still winning. So
yeah.
there's so many brands of football that the English football fan has experienced now that when the manager comes and starts playing seven at the back and counter, they're kind of looking at it saying, no. They've now become picky. English football fans become picky. No. We want to play nice football. I want to watch something beautiful,
Eh,
you
eh,
know?
but once, one year, one tournament proved me though, Josh, that it doesn't really matter what system you play. It matters what player you have in the team. You remember the Spanish national team 2008, I think?
Hmm.
They won with
They
a
won the.
5-4, 5-5 formation. They didn't have an attacker. Because all
Mm,
those five in midfield, they were tiki-taka experts.
yeah.
So who cares? We hold it. Some one of
Mm,
let's see, two of the
thank you.
five will sprint up, and we're gonna get there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And they were very successful. So if
I
you have
think
the
that
players, once philosophy, everybody's on top-notch
I think Man
level.
City have shown in 2 years you can play tiki taka and be successful, and now they've got Erling Haaland who can go straight. You know, and they are almost. Pep has now developed a squad of a couple of philosophies there. You know, they can play direct football, they can play down the wings, they can play tiki taka. Um,
For me, one of the weakest spots of Manchester City is the attack.
mm,
Because outside of hailing of Haaland, he's got other options, and I've got a lot
Alvarez,
of respect for Alvarez, and he will
yeah,
become a great player. But he hasn't got that Aguero option. He will become one of those level.
mm.
But the flink one,
Jesus didn't do it, did he? Hazen did it. Jesus was
exactly.
supposed to be the
No,
guy.
no,
Yeah.
no. Jesus was supposed to be. Yeah, he was
Mm,
between Haaland and. But for me, Haaland doesn't surprise me either, because for me, the best attackers were like players like him, like Ibrahimovic, to look at, and what he did anyway. Statistics prove that as well. They're the most prolific strikers for my. opinion, in my
Yeah, no,
opinion.
you're right. The big, strong strikers. Ronaldo's now coming to an end. Ibrahimovic is coming to an end. Haaland is now probably the one, but Osimhen is quite physical.
Well, he's
Lukaku's
no,
really
he
showed.
gives you speed, acceleration, and
Mm,
explosion.
yep.
Osimhen, but he's strong with the header and foot. You know,
Yeah,
it's
Martinez.
a good package as well.
Yeah, and maybe football's going towards more back to sort of the strong guy up front. Maybe football. They say everything goes in cycles. Maybe we're going away from tiki taka and we're going a little bit back
Yeah,
to.
no, no, we're gone with tiki taka. I think we left tiki taka time
Yeah,
a
yeah, I
long
agree.
time ago.
I agree.
I mean, 5 years ago or something.
Yeah, and football works a way out. Teams have worked how to defend tiki taka, so now it's going a little bit back on itself. But it's amazing to see football evolve every 5 years because it's one ball and it's one pitch and it's still 11 aside. But the way it changes every 5, 10 years, as you grow older in life, you remember more and you realize that shit. Like I remember watching. You actually realize
Yeah,
how football is changing in the way it's played. Which, if you know what I mean, it's not the same way it was played 20 years ago. It's
definitely.
different. And as an English, someone living in England watching English football, to see the ugly stuff, the corners and
Mm.
the real elbow each other and red cards and just a fight, basically a fight, to turn into this beautiful, I can get the violin and I mean I could watch this stuff like a musical.
Yeah, but because you've got Brazilian, Spanish, Portuguese flavors mixed in there, and then they can produce something like
Yeah.
that. But on
The
the
the, the
national
people
level, we
they
don't
s-
need to talk on the national level
I
what's
was
going
just
on
about to
there.
say,
So
the national level, there's two
I,
arguments.
I,
There's two
I
arguments.
always said, and sorry for being very blunt and direct, I
No,
always
go
said
for it.
those spices are missing. Exactly, those spices are missing.
Yeah, yeah. I think the national look, these players, the Mason Mounts and the Deli
You've got
Allies,
the
whatever.
players. You've got the players
They,
individually on each position. They're on FIFA probably top three. All
yeah,
good.
the thing is, if you don't get game time, you're not going to improve. So whilst you're a reserve or you're loaned out, unless you play at the highest level, how are you going to learn to deal with that pressure when it comes to a World Cup? Whereas the European guys are playing at the highest level in the Premier League, the De Bruynes, the Haalands, the players at Arsenal, Chelsea, whatever. But
No, but
The English players are suffering, man.
no,
Apart from Harry
Josh.
Kane.
No, 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 Josh. No, they've got. It's not about minutes because as I told you earlier, the Serie A doesn't give young players a chance to play. If you compare that statistically, the Premier
Mm,
League let
mm,
let them play those 17 and
mm,
18 years old and 19 years old. For
mm,
me, it's you just had a very bad management all the
mm.
years, all the years. Mm, how was it possible to not get Lampard and Gerrard
Gerrard and yeah, yeah,
functioning?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jesus Christ, and Ferdinand at the back and Terry.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm saying that as an
But
Italian.
maybe apart from Eddie Howe, maybe the lack of English success in management is
Absolutely.
linked is linked to the
Absolutely.
national teams because they're only going to go for an English manager most of the time.
Look at the national team of Italy at Italia 90, and then look at the English one.
Mm,
You look at these people who became manager. Almost everybody who you see on the Italian is a manager right now.
yep, yep, the team.
The other one was an alcoholic, and then he made a charity. The other one, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
The other
yeah,
one is BBC presenter,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm running out.
Is
Maybe
that because they don't want to put in the hard work and start from the bottom where the money's not good?
I don't know, but
Because management is not.
they're producing
It
more.
doesn't matter how good a player you was. A manager's a completely different career, right? It doesn't matter if you're
Absolutely.
Gary Lineker or Glenn Hoddle, whoever you are. You've got to start
Look
from
at
the bottom. And do
look at
these players want to start from the bottom? Do they want to be managing a team round a small club around the corner
no,
and
they
move
want
up?
everybody wishes a Frank Lampard card, if not
Well, look,
twice.
Lampard got a job at where was he at? He was at
Everton.
no, before that he was Derby, right? Derby County down in the Championship. and then he done well, and then he got the Chelsea job. I think
Oh,
it
okay,
was
okay, 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 okay.
I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
Derby. But what I'm saying is that the level of the Premier League and Derby is so different that why can De Zerbi come in and do it, but Frank Lampard can't at his home club Chelsea? Why is it that someone like Unai Emery can come in the Premier League and do it, and Gerrard can't at Aston Villa? But Gerrard's played his whole career in the Premier League and won
it's
in the
management
Premier.
style.
Yeah,
It's
but what
management
I mean
style.
is, what it's these. Why can someone from Europe come and do it? Is it because of the answer? I believe is because European football develops you a different way as a manager.
Sure, maybe it's as well, the stranger comes in, so you respect him a little bit differently and you take him more serious. Maybe if you've seen a Lampard or a Gerrard 20 years around you, you see it in a different eyes. You've seen him
But
growing
then
up.
why aren't English managers doing better in Europe?
No,
There's none
but
of them.
it's no,
There's none of them.
no, Josh, it's the commitment to the football. We're going back to the initial discussions when we started the show. We Italians or Germans, football is not just football.
Hmm.
It's and you see they're all becoming football managers. Filippo Inzaghi, why is he running around in the Serie B, man? He can chill out somewhere on the beach. Fabio Grosso, Frosinone, promotion to Serie A. What a success.
They're learning from the bottom.
Yeah, they learned from bottom, from Serie B, but now his next year is going to be
Yeah.
Serie A.
So
They love
so
it. They love it. You need to wanting it.
but what it goes to show is coaching in Europe is a level ahead of coaching in the UK, because the UK managers are not only failing in the UK, but they're failing in
The
Europe. And
coaching,
factually,
yes,
yeah, the level's different.
but that's the downside of your type of business model you're running right now. You have money buying players. Sorry, you don't have time to develop managers. If you play in that game, then you have to buy the finished product to manage those expensive players.
Mm, mm,
So it's just a normal consequence you have to take in.
yeah, yeah. I also think that in the Premier League, before we close the show, I think the Premier League, the demands from fans and chairman is so high that maybe the managers are not getting enough time that they would otherwise get in Europe. Maybe there's an argument there that a like for like job in Europe, they might get some more time. The fans might not be as harsh, whereas maybe the English fans, you lose 3 games in a row, and it's Steven Gerrard, it's Frank Lampard, get him out. He's not good enough. Let's get a European guy in. Maybe in Europe they say no, he's a club legend, he's from Italy, you know, let's love him, let's help him succeed. Maybe
It's
it's less ruthless.
it's policy. Look at Bayern Munich. It's in their DNA since the 70s who will be the manager and who will be running the club as a president. It's their recycled superstars. It's
It's
always been
generational.
like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they've got it in their business DNA. So it all depends as well how you
And the
run your club
philosophy
on
is the
your.
same always.
Yeah, AC Milan has got a very similar DNA as well. So a couple of different clubs they've got it in the DNA. Ajax as well.
Hmm.
And they recycle the superstars inside as well.
Barcelona, maybe you could say
Barcelona
as
as
well.
well, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Big
yeah.
Johan Cruyff and his son as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something that the UK has to look at Europe and has to learn.
Yep.
Not over 1 year, over 10 years, and put in some new
If they can
approaches.
afford it with this current business model, yes, they should definitely. But that's the challenge for me. It's the business model. It's not about the will or the, oh, we are too stupid to. No, it's not. It's the operating model where you're in, and I think that.
Yeah, I think to Arsenal's credit, they've shown a different way of success. I know they've not won anything yet. They probably won't. Let's be honest. But I think Arsenal have shown with Arteta to back him fifth, fifth, eighth, now second. I think that's a nice story. As much as I'd say as a Spurs fan, I don't want them to be successful. I respect what they've done with Arteta there,
Yeah,
and with
he will be
Edu.
judged for you next year, definitely. That's
Yeah,
going to be interesting. I'm
yeah.
actually more
But
curious
but
about
it's
next
it's
year.
it's nice to see a young manager succeed, because um having a Klopp and a Pep is very difficult for 6 7 years. Ten Hag looks like he might be there. Hag looks like a looks like a good signing. He looks like he knows what he's doing, Ten Hag. So I think he's going to be there for a few years. Arteta should be given a few more years just off this season. And then you're looking at Chelsea, Tottenham, who are the two guys that are looking for their Klopp, their
Well, it's
Pep.
popcorn. It's popcorn. It's
It,
popcorn
it, it
all
is
over.
popcorn, man. It is popcorn, especially when you watch Conte come out and
Oh
just
man,
say what he wants. Say he just. I respect the honesty. Honestly, I respect the honesty massively from Conte.
he said everything right, huh? He
I
said
think
it
he
too.
said,
He said it too crass. But why do you think Tottenham doesn't win? Why? He said.
why do I think Tottenham say again?
Do you remember what on the? I think he said everything true.
Oh
He
no no
knows
no no
it.
no no! I think he did. I think he did. I think if Daniel Levy wants to run Tottenham as a business, he won't be there too long. Because at the end of the day, I think it's the duty of a chairman to take risks, calculated risks, but take risks. So playing it too safe and taking calculated risks are two different things. I think Daniel Levy
Oh, let go. Delegate.
get the right people in. I think Daniel Levy has
Yeah.
1 year left to prove to the middle fans. You get fans who want to give him still 12 months, maybe 48 months, and see if this new stadium money, if this lessons he's learned, these mistakes he's made, is he learning and is he quickly changing it and showing that, you know, he is able to adapt, or is he going to stay rigid and stubborn and stay the same? And I think he's got, for the first time, and I'll tell you this as a Tottenham fan, in the stadium and outside the stadium, it's Levy out. 50%.
Yeah.
It's changed. You know, we are now like the Man United fans with
Ja,
Glazer.
ja, we were talking with Jay about this the last 10, 15 years. It's not nothing, this is, I'm trying to be serious here. This is not the topic for the last 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
I remember this conversation already,
But
8 years
one
ago.
thing I will say is no club has a right to be at the top. You have to earn it in every single way, or you get the Saudi money, right? You get the, what do you call
Listen,
it?
the revenues, you get it from your sponsors and from your match day, and luckily for you guys in the UK, from your TV money. Or
So,
from these dubious sources, if you're
well,
Arab or Russian or whatever.
I think bar Man City and bar Manchester United, who are a great commercial income. You know, the strongest commercial. You could argue Liverpool are up there as well because they had more revenue than Manchester United in the last set of accounts. So Manchester United have done it the right way commercially. Liverpool have done it the right way commercially. Chelsea have had help. Let's be honest. Manchester
Of
City have had
course,
help.
of course.
Newcastle have had help. Arsenal have done it their own way. Tottenham have now got the stadium, and
No,
they've been
that
in the
done the
Champions League.
right way, probably.
So there's the argument of, do you really want to be successful off the back of non-sustainable income? And for me, I think it's better to sustainably grow. But if the Saudis took over Tottenham tomorrow, would I be complaining? Probably not. But there is some romance in building sustainably as well.
It is because the flavor of a win or a success, yeah, which
It's
doesn't
different.
need to be silverware, made from your 18-year-old coming out from your academy, it's different. It's a
It's
different
different.
flavor.
It's different. I'll give you this example, and we'll close off in a couple of minutes. I'll give you this example. Growing up as a young man, when I was 17, 16, I never liked taking any money off my father because I felt like I'm a grown man. Not even £1. I just feel like I'm a man. I need to show you I'm a man, right? I need to go get a job, pay for my car, my insurance. I need to show you I'm a man living in this world on my own. And it was like a way of me proving that I'm good enough to be his son in a way, or I'm good enough to show him that I'm my own man. I can survive, and there's a different taste in everything you do when you do it from your own
Of
self,
course, of course.
self-made, right? But when you do it from the handouts, from the daddy that keeps giving you the car, the money, the whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever anyone says,
It,
inside,
it
this is
depends
this is
what
this is
conscious
not
you
me.
have.
It depends what conscious you have, but generally most people would say, listen, if I'm really being honest, my dad helped me out. My dad helped me out, or someone
Yeah,
helped
of
me out.
course, of course.
So I think Chelsea fans, Man City fans, Newcastle fans, I think there is a conversation there about, let's be honest, guys, without the money, without the investment, would you have had that success? You wouldn't have had that success. But at the same time, you know, 5 Premier Leagues or however many now that have been won by Manchester City, 2 Premier Leagues by Chelsea,
It's
Newcastle.
proven.
They're having the time of their lives. They're having the time of their lives, and it works. And sometimes you have to just enjoy the ride and not worry about too much about the sustainability. And you just have to be in the race. You just have to be in the race. You have to sell your soul. You know.
Let's leave that to the next time, because that
Yeah.
gets
We're
philosophical.
going deep. We're going deep. We're going into DNA and something above beyond football. But listen, Alex, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on this channel. You're more than welcome to
Thank
come
you.
back on here, and thank you for all your views, man. Today you've got a lot of knowledge, which is great, especially from the European side.
No, thank you very much for having me on the show. It was really fun. I was a bit nervous at the end, but then thank you for
That's
your
fine.
very
It's just
kind moderation.
a few guys talking about football, man. Nothing else, man. It saves me going to the pub and spending my money on
Yeah.
a few beers. But I probably will still do that tonight when I go watch Arsenal in 10 minutes.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, I just want
that's
to say
right.
thank you for coming on. Anyone who hasn't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Footy Fanatics is basically on a regular basis. We normally bring on guests to talk about the top six. The Premier League title race is more or less done now. The top four looks like it's done. The season's coming to a close. We'll be starting to look at manager at Chelsea now, Pochettino, Tottenham, obviously. You know, is there any other last final twists of this Premier League campaign? I'm not so sure. I think everything's pretty much done now. It's time to head for the beach for the players and look forward to the transfer window. There's no World Cups. There's no European Cups to look forward to this summer. It's just going to be all transfers, but we'll
And
definitely
next
be
summer we're gonna have the European Championships in Germany, and
in
I'm gonna
Germany.
be
Yeah, that's right.
in Stuttgart, and we
Listen, I'm gonna
it's a
come
house
down with
city.
Jay. I'm gonna come down with
Yeah,
Jay.
yes, that's
Yeah,
great.
Jay's a mutual friend between myself and Alex. He introduced me to Alex. So I'll definitely be coming down, and I want to get one of those big beers that German people keep drinking. I just see these big beers, and I think, you know what, I want one of those, man. I just want to dance around like the Germans, having my beers, and enjoy Germany. I heard it's a beautiful country as well. I've never been, so I really want to look forward to that, man.
So next year you've got a
Yeah,
great opportunity with Jay.
you could take me in your Lambo on the autobahn and show me how to
Yeah,
do it.
with my little Vespa, yeah, probably.
No problem, man. Just put your foot down, man. We did the maximum. Over here, you can't do anything, man. 70 miles per hour is the maximum. But Alex, thanks a lot, mate. We'll see you on the next one. Everyone who's watching, thanks for watching. Thanks for your comments. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. Let us know your views, and we'll see you on the next show. Peace out, love, and unity, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Peace, ciao, forza
Ciao.
Inter.
Ciao to all the guys. See you later.